Hello and welcome to the One Life Church devotional series where we cover the entire Bible in 20 months with these chapters of Proverbs 15 and 16. Now, I'm still down here in Sydney. Behind me there is the massive Commonwealth Bank, one of the main streets through Sydney, Darling Harbour over to my right. It's a great city, heaving with life. And there's obviously a philosophy of business, there's a philosophy of life. A resident here, very liberal city. This is famous for its gay parades. This is famous for its very liberal constitutions and ways of living. Now, against that backdrop, let's have a look at biblical wisdom. In verse 1 of chapter 15, it says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stir up anger." A gentle answer turns away wrath. I can remember when I was about 25 years old, I had a little business and I went out to see a client. I was in a truck. I came around a corner and the reality was I wasn't looking, and I jumped out into traffic that I shouldn't have. I nearly caused an accident. A vehicle slammed on brakes right next to my door. When I looked, there was an old man clutching his steering wheel, and it looked like he was livid. He was about to kill something. His poor wife was draped across the dashboard. I don't know what caused me to do this, but I jumped out of my car. I ran around his side. I looked in the window and I said, "Oh, thank you, sir. That was incredible driving. I don't know how you managed to stop in front of my car." He looked at me and he said, "Well, don't worry, lad. One day when you're as old as me, you'll be able to drive properly." His poor wife was still passed out on the dashboard. My answer to him had just disarmed him. It wasn't thought through. It just happened. But it was a vivid example of this. A soft answer turns away wrath. A soothing tongue is a tree of life, verse 4 says. What we say plots our path through life. Verse 7 said, the lips of the wise spread knowledge, but the hearts of fools are not upright. And so a lot of this chapter is about what you say, what you listen to. Verse 10 says, the one who hates correction will die. Verse 12 says, mockers resent correction, and so they avoid the wise. If you know someone's going to correct you and you're a fool, you avoid that guy because you don't want to be corrected, is what it's saying. A happy heart makes a cheerful face, but heartache crushes the spirit. That's an interesting parable. A happy heart makes a cheerful face. What's it saying? What's in your heart comes out. My mom, who loves the Lord, has got this little quirk. She looks at people's eyes and she believes that they are a window into the soul. Well, that's what the Bible teaches, doesn't it? And this verse is alluding to that, is that often my mother will say, "Oh, Grant, be careful of that guy. I don't like his eyes." In other words, I can look into his eyes and I can see what's coming out of his heart. Verse 16 says, better a little with the fear of the Lord than great wealth and turmoil. Rather be content. I look across these great landscapes and architecture, and this is saying you don't need all that if it comes with strife. Rather a little with peace than that with strife. Better a small serving of vegetables with love than a fattened calf with hatred. And that's pretty much what Proverbs 15 is all about. Proverbs 16 says, commit your ways to the Lord. It says, all a person's ways seem pure to them, but the motives are weighed by the Lord. The Lord sifts what's going on inside your heart, and that's what he looks at. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Verse 4 says, the Lord works out everything to its proper end. Now, Paul, when he's writing to the Romans, alluded to this verse when he said, he works out all things together for the good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. Again, in verse 16, it says, how much better to get wisdom than gold, insight than silver. You really want God's wisdom, God's insight, rather than you you get all the riches of the world. A gossip separates close friends. And verse 31, I love this verse. Gray hair is a crown of splendor, and it is attained in the way of righteousness. For a believer, as we get on with the Lord and more of Him becomes our portion, so we share in His glory and we share in His ways. Anyway, there's a huge amount that you can glean through these texts. I trust you do so as you read it.